I didn't have any previous knowledge of the city. I had never been to San Francisco. I didn't even know what I was going to find there when I came. I wasn't from the culture. I wasn't from the country. I met some people from San Francisco who were Americans who I liked, who were like really much more open and free, and the way things were happening attracted me to travel to the States. What I had read, what I had heard. I was attracted to street photography in part because I was attracted to living in San Francisco by what I found happening that was available to me as an outsider right in the public realm. What was going on in San Francisco at that time? You didn't need to know anybody. You didn't need to go behind any door. You didn't need to be introduced. It was clear that what was happening in San Francisco was something that you could pick up on the street, just being there, the people. As I say in my book, it was about the people. I think I stayed in San Francisco and fell in love with it because of the freedom, the personal expression of self that was happening publicly on the streets. And there was no doubt that I knew right away I wanted to photograph the people of San Francisco. I was not introduced to anybody. I didn't pick out anybody because they were special or they were well known or they were famous. I thought everybody that I photographed was interesting, was highly personal in how they presented themselves. And to me, that was one of the quintessential qualities of San Francisco at that time. That people, as they say, did their own thing. But beyond that, people exhibited who they were publicly without fear or censorship. As you can see in many of these photographs, I mean, there's quite a variety of ways that people have expressed themselves publicly here without any sense of shyness, or, you know, they just come out in their underwear if they so pleased, or nude, or dressed up as some kind of crazy costume. Very exotic, very creative. That's what I like. That's why I photographed the people. You know, their identity was clear from the minute you saw them on the sidewalk. It was all about freedom of self-expression in San Francisco. I mean, if you just want to encapsulate it in 3 words, that's it. Everybody got to be who they were, and they got to do it publicly. And there's more. You know, I didn't go around photographing or looking for bizarre things or things that were hard to find. This was, you know, this is all daytime stuff. This is all happening on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's happening all the time. It's people hanging out or coming out or doing their thing. Like those people over there in that photograph, they were just in Golden Gate Park and they had come out, and I ascertained that they were a family. I mean, I observed them, and they were all related through their own decision to be related. They probably lived together. I saw children with them. There was probably somebody there who had a child. They brought children into the world, into these different social environments. And it's just how it was. People were very open, free, and public about who they were at that time. And that was the beauty of it. The vibe in San Francisco was so personal and friendly that you went out on the street and right that day you'd make friends. I mean, friends who started talking to you, you started talking to them, and next thing you know, you're being invited to dinner to their house. This doesn't happen anymore, I don't think, in the world, hardly anywhere. It was a very open, friendly environment, and I would say I would want to use the word trusting. There was a lot of trust. People trusted each other in the public realm. You go to a cafe and there's some people sitting here and you're sitting there. Next thing you're talking, and next time you're there, you're friends, and from there a relationship could develop. None of the photographs are posed. The only photograph in the book that I would consider posed is the Kiburi family, the African-American family with their children, who were always anxious about how they were depicted. So they wanted to get ready for that photograph, and but they chose everything. They chose what they were going to wear, where they were going to sit, and all of that kind of stuff. So I didn't intervene. I just said, you do what you would like, and I'll take the photograph where you want me to photograph you. But other than that one, all the other photographs here were completely spontaneously taken. For example, the woman there, Helen West, she's a school teacher. I worked at that school. I worked with Helen, but I sat in her office with my camera, and while she was sitting at her desk, I just took the picture. The one next to it is some of her children in the schoolyard there. So I just pointed the camera at the kids. They looked at me, they knew me. That boy turned around with the gun in his hand, and that's why I took the picture. It was a very sophisticated city in terms of people being comfortable with having their photographs taken. It was a time when people, I think, enjoyed the attention because they were exhibiting themselves in, with strong identities. That photograph over there with the little boy and the ruined buildings, that was in the Western Addition off Fillmore Street, and I was really taking a photograph of the urban decay. The moment I was getting set up to take that photograph, and I had framed it, that little boy ran out from behind a building that you see there and ran towards me, and I thought he was going to object to my taking the photograph, and he was going to come up to me and do something or say something or throw a rock at me or whatever. But he didn't. He just stopped right there, and you see how far I am from him. And he stood there, and I interpreted that he didn't mind, that maybe he wanted to be in the picture. At first I didn't think that, but that's what it turned into. And then he and I nodded to him, and he went his way and I went mine. Oftentimes collectors like to purchase limited editions of photographs or of books. So what I decided to do was an 8x10 portfolio in a leather clamshell of 15 prints. And then the larger box is a leather-bound clamshell that contains a limited edition of the book that I will sign and dedicate those books. There will be 5 with a print. And then there's the book by itself. And I'm self-publishing, and I print as needed. So I haven't printed like a large edition of books.